Most likely, there's only one successful case in history of a plane hijacking where nothing happened to anyone, and the hijacker most likely escaped with the ransom from a flying passenger plane. On November 24, 1971, passengers boarded a plane at Portland Airport. Among them was Dan Cooper. At least, that's the name he wrote on the boarding pass. It's worth noting that check-ins in the 70s looked completely different from today. The boarding pass had the name and surname written, and nobody even verified it with an identity document. Interestingly, the name Dan Cooper was most likely inspired by a Canadian comic book. Returning to the events of November 24, 1971, passenger Cooper sat in seat 18C, shortly after the plane took off, and handed a note to a stewardess. Thinking the stranger was trying to pick her up, she put it in her pocket. Cooper then approached, and in a low voice said, "You'd better take a look at the note. I have a bomb." The note stated, "I have a bomb in my briefcase. I will use it if necessary. I want you to sit beside me. You are being hijacked." He demanded $200,000 and 2 sets of parachutes from Northwest Airlines. The entire demand was to be met at Seattle Airport, where the plane was supposed to land. When the pilots learned about the situation, they contacted the FBI. They advised the crew to cooperate. The pilot also ordered the stewardess to return to her seat and check if the bomb was real. Cooper showed her a briefcase with a battery and wires and ordered her to inform the pilots to refrain from landing until the ransom was ready. Of course, the stewardess had no knowledge of explosives, so it was obvious that the device in the bag might be an actual explosive. The other passengers were unaware of the situation and were informed that the landing would be delayed due to technical reasons. The money was prepared in unmarked $20 bills. It weighed about 10 kilo. The FBI recorded every bill's serial number, so it must have taken a while. Authorities mistakenly assumed that a heavier package would cause trouble for the hijacker. At 5:24 p.m., the pilot received confirmation that all demands had been met. Cooper ordered the landing, which occurred at 5:39 p.m. The windows were to be covered so that nobody outside could see what was happening inside the aircraft, specifically to prevent snipers from looking through their scopes. One person was designated to receive the ransom, an employee of Northwest. He collected the bag and equipment at the rear stairs, then handed it to the stewardess. Since Cooper got what he wanted, he released 36 passengers and 1 stewardess on board. The remaining crew included the captain, co-pilot, flight engineer, and another stewardess. The plane was refueled. Meanwhile, the hijacker checked the money. Then, he ordered the plane to take off at 7:40 p.m. Additionally, he demanded the pilot not to fly above 3,000 meters. At this specific altitude, there was no need to equalize the cabin pressure. Therefore, theoretically, one could open the doors and jump. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper ordered the stewardess to go to the cockpit and close it. After a while, the cabin pressure changed due to the door being opened. Despite being tracked by F-106 fighter jets, it was already dark outside, and there was a storm. So the military pilots didn't notice the door opening and the stairs being deployed. The hijacker's body was never found. He was never found alive either. The first question is whether a jump in such conditions is survivable. It turns out it is. The plane collected the maximum amount of evidence, including 8 cigarette butts of the Rolling brand, a tie, and one of the 2 parachute sets. The last trace of Cooper was found in 1980. At that time, near the Columbia River, 3 bundles of money totaling $5,800 were found. After FBI checked their serial numbers, it was confirmed that this was Cooper's ransom money.